Hi, we will discuss the difference between head recursion and tail recursion by taking an example. Let's take a linked list of elements 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and none is the tail. This is the end of the linked list. Now let's find the sum of the elements of the linked list by using two recursion functions. So on the left side, we use head recursion, and on the right part, it is tail recursion. So regarding the head recursion, what happens in the head recursion is like, initially we'll call the element on the first element. We'll call the function on the first element. So without performing any operation, the recursive function calls the same function on the next element. And without doing any operation, again it calls the same function for the next element. And again it calls the same function for the next element until it reaches the last one. And whenever it reaches the last one, I have written the base case, which is very clearly indicating here. So this is the base case. So as it reaches the base case, it has to return some value. So it means after that I am not going to perform any function. So this is my end where I am going to call the recursive calls, and this is my end, and from this point I have to return to my starting point by doing some operations at every step. So for example, if you see it here, after reaching none, I called return 0. It means it returns 0 to the previous call, that is 5. So up to now it is return 0 and it is stored in sum. It's clearly not sum, it is small equal to 0. And now after the small, so I have reached this point now. This sum LL has returned 0 to this variable, and now small I am adding the current element and again I am returning. It means after reaching 0, after getting the answer 0, I am adding 5 to this 0 and I am returning the value to the previous element, that is 0 plus 5. Now my updated value of small is 4, and from 4, before returning to 3, I am again performing one operation by adding the answer 4 to the 5. 5 plus 4, this is 9 now. So I am returning value 9 to 3, and again it have to add 3 to 9, 9 plus 3, that equal to 12 to 2, and again while before returning to 1 I will add 2 also, that is 14, and then finally 14 plus 1, that is 15. So my final answer is 15, so this will return the value 15 in the main call. I hope you have understood what is going on here. In the initially I have called the recursion on 1, then it in turn calls recursion call on 2, and it calls on 3, it calls on 4, it calls on 5, and whenever it reaches none, that is the last point after which recursion call occurs. And from here my main operation continues by adding the value at every step and returning back to its recursion function call, and whenever it reaches the first element, my final answer is ready, and that is 15 here. So this is head recursion. Here I am performing recursion calls first, operations in the return process. So while going in the forward direction, I am not doing any operation, but while coming back I am performing operation by adding each element at every recursive call. My final answer will be obtained at the last. So whenever I reach the first element, it is the answer. This is about the head recursion. Whereas regarding the tail recursion, if we see, here we perform operation initially only. So while going in the forward direction only, we add the value of every element to our variable, and whenever it reaches the final point, my answer is already ready. So my answer is ready, so I just have to return the answer. So it will return back from this point. So for example, if you see the structure of this function here, I have clearly wrote return the same recursive call head dot next. It means I am calling my function to the neighbor, that is 2, and my updated variable initially it is sum equal to 0, and this time I added head dot data. It means 1 dot data, means nothing but 1. So initially it is 0 and later I have added the first element sum as 0, sum as 1. So in the same way, whenever I move in the forward direction, while moving I am going to add the element value to the sum variable in every step. So I will add 1 initially, then I will add 2, then I will add 3, then I will add 4, then I will add 5, and then whenever I move to none, so I have written a base case over there. So I move to none here, so return the sum. It means sum is nothing but the updated value after adding all the elements, and what is my final value is already present in this variable. I am directly returning that value. So up to now my sum variable value is 15. So in the base case, directly return sum. So it will return 15 to this point, and after return statement I am not going to do any operation because it is a tail recursion. Again it returns 15, it returns 15 again, it returns 15, it returns 15, and my final answer is 15 here also. So in both the cases, so if I tell you the conclusion, in both the cases my final answer will be remain same, but the order in which I am performing the operations is different. In the first part, that is in the head recursion, I am going to do operations in the reverse direction. It means while returning back from my base case to the first point, I am adding the value at every step. Whereas in the tail recursion, I will add the values in the first only while moving in the forward direction. And whenever I reach the last point, I have already got my answer, so I am returning that final answer. So we can do in both the case, but please check in the base case whatever value we are writing. Here in the base case, my final answer is already ready, whereas in the base case my initial answer is ready. So take care of that. So this is the order of the updated sum